Hello, my name is Niveda Kiridharan.
Hello, my name is Parvati Krishnan, and together we are so proud to welcome you to our very first podcast called
South Asian Women in Rare. In this podcast, you'll hear a lot about us.
and you'll hear even more about all the guests that we're going to be inviting, and we're so excited
To share these stories with you. Unfiltered stories, unseen strands. Hello, Sumaira. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Is it Niveda?
Yes, it is. Welcome to South Asian Women in Rare. And you've been doing some amazing things, Sumaira. And my first question to you is, what was the moment you realized your diagnosis of, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong,
It's
I'm pretty
okay.
sure,
NMOSD.
was something that could become more and something bigger than just your own personal journey?
So let's rewind 12 years ago in 2014 in Boston. I was 24 years old, living my best life as a normal 24-year-old would. I was working a day job. I had a very vibrant social life. I danced, I partied, and all the things. And overnight, in June of 2014, I lost my vision. And shortly after that, I lost some ability to walk and be fully mobile. So within 5 weeks of my initial symptoms, I was diagnosed with a rare disease called neuromyelitis optica spectrum disorder, also known as NMOSD. At the time, there were no approved therapies. The prognosis was bleak. There was obviously no cure, and the cause was unknown, as is the case for most rare diseases. And so within 2 months of my diagnosis, I decided to start the Sumaira Foundation. And at the time, it was really just to find another patient who was living with this, find positive stories, because everything on the internet was extremely depressing and scary. So, your follow-up question was, when did I realize that this was going to be something more than just my journey? I don't know, maybe it's so hard to say because I was dealing with, the onset of my illness and the diagnosis at the same time of building the foundation. So I never really ever sat back to like think about that. But if I had to, think about it in hindsight, maybe it was when I met a patient in real life for the first time. So that was a year into the foundation of my diagnosis. So when I was able to bring patients together in real life in a meaningful way, that's when I kind of had this aha moment that, okay, maybe it's not just about me anymore and my illness, it's about other people.
And I really like it because even on your website, when you say donation, you say donate to illuminate. And I really like that phrase that you used.
Oh, thank you. So that comes from, and I've been very open and honest about this. I was on morphine for a while after I got diagnosed just because of everything going on. And that's when I actually came up with the foundation's tagline, which we're still using to this day, which is illuminating the darkness. And from
Mm-hmm.
that, we've repurposed it in other ways. So donate to illuminate. We get illuminations lit around the world for our awareness months. We're just trying to shed a light on something that's so dark. So yeah, I credit that to morphine.
how did you break did you face stereotypes, and what were some of the ways you had to break them?
With regards to being South Asian,
South Asian, women, rare, all of the above. If you can even pick one or pick all in combo.
oh my gosh, I've thought about this a lot. And the honest to God answer is that I have not experienced any situations in which these were a problem or that it like worked against me or that I had to defend it in any way. And I'm not sure. I've thought about it so many times. I'm like, I wonder why that is, because I know that this is a thing. But it could be that like I just don't give a shit. I walk into a room whether it's virtually or in person. And I'm like, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here for. Do you want to talk or not? Period.
Love it. That's amazing. And do you feel like this started even when you were diagnosed, when in the
Oh,
hospital?
this started when I was a child.
So
This
some of that,
started from when I was 3, 4 years old. I don't know, Parvati, if I ever told you, but like I was like in the performing arts world from when I was a child. So Niveda, I wanted to be a Bollywood actress. So I started doing
Oh, nice.
yeah, those days are long behind me. But I was singing, dancing, acting, doing theater, traveling, all from when I was a very young, like 3, 4 years old, like a child. And I think doing all of that, being on stage all the time, being in front of cameras, gave me a kind of confidence in myself that maybe I otherwise wouldn't have had. So I have never doubted myself or my ability. Even when I don't know something, I don't pretend I don't know it. I'm just like very open and honest. And I'm like, listen, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. This is what I'm doing, whether you're doing it with me or not. I prefer to work with people, but so far it's worked okay. I don't know. And maybe, my advice also is like, oh, it's so weird to talk about yourself, guys. But because you asked me, I think there is merit to showing up as like truly your authentic self, especially in the world that we live in now. I think we're deprived of authenticity. Everything is very canned with ChatGPT-esque type of responses or overly filtered, on Instagram or whatever. So I have always been somebody who's like, this is me, take it or leave it, filter or no filter, whatever. And somehow I guess worked.
that's your superpower, authenticity. And that's what I loved about it because the real you, like your ethos hasn't changed in all these years that I've known you. And I think that that is something that not just the younger generation, everyone can learn from because I feel like sometimes when you post pictures of or videos of your like hospitalization, I'm like, gosh, she still looks, she must have been feeling awful, but she looks confident. Like she looks like she knows
Oh,
what she's doing, right? But that's just your authenticity that I've now learned is just you. Like you weren't faking confidence. You just were like, it is what it is, but I still have to move forward. And that's what I've
Hmm.
always felt when I've seen like your previous post because it's not like, oh, she's so sad. It doesn't feel that way. Like it doesn't feel, I mean, obviously I feel that sympathy and empathy and things
sure.
like that, but there's an inner strength that is seen in those videos and pictures that's not just like I'm gonna crush it, I'm gonna do it, but it's just like, okay, I'm gonna deal with it. And I think that that authenticity is just in your ethos and it hasn't changed. And that's why you're able to say, I live the way I live. I truly like feel that. And I that's why I wanted to ask you this question. Like, is it just you as always have been, or is that something you've developed?
Wow, that's so nice. Thank you. So I come from a very strong knit Bengali community. I grew up in New Jersey, and there's so many of us. We all grew up together like brothers and sisters. I've been friends with these people for 30 plus years. And whenever I go home, which is New Jersey, um, first of all, it's really nice because these people have known me for so long, well before NMO, well before TSF. So like it feels like just kind of traveling back in time sometimes. And of course, when I go home, everyone's always like, "Oh, we're so proud of you. You're doing such great work," and blah, blah, blah. And it's very nice. But I always ask my family friends, whether it's the aunties or my friends and whatever, I'm like, do you guys think I'm the same? Like, am I the same as I was before? And everyone was always like, yes. And this is something that I'm like, okay, good. Because if I end up changing or deviating from who I am, I need one of my friends to like slap me and whatever. And so, it's a fine balance because sometimes I am too much for people. And so, I do have to dial it back a little bit, but not too much. But like, Parvati and Niveda, I show up in like neon colors to like scientific meetings sometimes. I'm like, that's who I am. I like color. I like fashion. Just because I'm sick or, have a rare disease doesn't mean that I'm going to now, wear a burqa or like shave my head and wear a white sheet. I'm still going to be who I'm going to be. So yeah, maybe that's I don't know if that's the right response, but like just unapologetically myself. And one thing I'll say is that I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but like I love me. I love me so
That's
much.
amazing. That's exactly what we want to hear. Like, there's
I-
nothing that is off text here, but that is so valuable. It is so hard. And it's a lesson, like,
Yeah.
I am a mom to a teen, and that's one of the things I always fear. Like, I hope you understand, like, you should be your first
Yeah.
priority. Like, you should love yourself. You should like yourself. You should be nice to yourself. And, sometimes I'm like, and it's a boy. So obviously, there's no communication that comes from the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah, yeah.
I'm always like, do you even hear what I'm saying? But that's so important. And I love that you're saying this because I hope whoever's listening knows that you have to love yourself. It's the first thing you
I,
do.
Especially as women.
yeah,
Niveda.
I constantly get that reminder because I, whenever I was at university and I got a low grade or a bad grade, I'd always go down on myself and I'm like, nope, it's fine. Just pick yourself up
Yeah.
and you'll do good next time. But it's sometimes always someone needs to remind me, and at that moment, it's something that I always tend to forget. And that's an amazing reminder to have. So thank you.
Absolutely. Did you guys watch Hindi movies as
I
like
Yes.
do. I do
I know Parvati and I are sharing Hindi movie memes all the
all
time.
the time.
So one person, I remember the first time I saw Jab We Met, like back in the day, and I was like, I saw so much of myself in Geet, Kareena Kapoor's one,
100%. I
right?
can see that.
And I was like, did they somehow like model her character after me? But like what, to this day, Geet is such an iconic character and one of Kareena Kapoor's best roles. And I think why people loved Geet so much is because she was so genuine, whether she was like, genuinely so happy or genuinely so sad. And that is who I am too. At any given time how I'm feeling, actress or not, I in a real life setting, you'll know how I'm feeling. So yeah, and I think that as brown women in general, children of immigrants, whatever, all the things. So I think that this is something that needs to be ingrained in females, period. Doesn't matter where in the world you're from, what color your skin is, but I think females, first of all, we need to understand the power that we have. I think that females possess so much power just by being a woman. We are creators of life. We're so smart. We're so kind. We can multitask. We are such amazing leaders. We're beautiful. We're fashionable. All the things. We're very, very, very talented. And I think that we need to embrace and appreciate ourselves more, but especially as like desi women, in our culture, as you both very well know, women are still kind of like second class citizens. And I don't
Hmm.
accept this. I do not accept this. Like, I am the best person in my life. I love myself more than anyone else. Of course, I love my niece and whatever, but I'm in the best relationship with myself. And I think that is what you see.
How did you turn this self mission to then reflect on your organization? Because everyone starts off at zero, right? When you started it, you were the only one that knew off or started off, and you were just, it's such a long journey ahead. And I always say, like, everybody wants to start a foundation. It's like not easy. The back end work sucks. Nobody wants to give you any support to raise the org. It's all nice and fancy when you're established yourself and you have pipelines and all those kinds of things. So how did you take this grit that you have into creating what you did? Because I think it's very, and you were the patient yourself, because a lot of times, especially now, you see parents or siblings, so how did you continue to foster that grit into creating something out of it and then sustaining it and building it for so long? Because I'm sure, and I don't want to speak for you, but through this journey you may have fallen sick or you may have had other personal priorities, so how did that come through? Because it's very easy to fall back to comfort zone.
Of course. Well, I think it initially started out as, to be honest with you, I thought I was going to die. In fact, there were times that I was told that, it's not impossible, especially with a disease like this. So, and everything on the internet was saying I was going to be dead within 5 years. So I was like, dude, I was like, wow, okay, I'm 25. Shit, I have until 30. I have work to do. I've always been very action oriented. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right. And so it started out as like, the time is ticking. We have a ton of stuff to do. We got to raise awareness. I got to find patients. I got to share patient stories. I got to start doing education. So I wasn't even thinking. I was just going. It was survival mode, like fight or flight. And honestly, ladies, like when I started this, I had no ambition of it being what it became today. I was very much thinking like, okay, let me find a couple of patients. If I can help one patient, I'm happy. If I can share a story here and there, I'm happy. If we can give some money to research, that would be great too. But like everything kind of happened step by step. Initially, it was just like, I just want anyone and everyone to hear about this. Then over time, things really started happening and things that I wasn't even expecting. And to this day, it's still happening. So it just I attribute the growth and what you see now in 2026 to, I have to say, an amazing team. Like amazing people, very talented people have found me. I have found very talented people. So like the team of TSF really needs to get the credit, in addition to like, we were very lucky in NMO to have 4 FDA approved therapies. And you all know what that means. When there are therapies that are approved for your indication, that means pharma is behind you. They have, funds to support your efforts. There's a symbiotic relationship there. So that was, of course, very helpful and historic in the world of rare disease. And then I think just being very consistent and scaling every year, growing initiatives, growing your team year over year over year. And now we're where we are, which is, we're 12 years old. We are international. We've got like 140 advocates representing 37 diseases. We now work in about 6 or 7 rare neuroimmune disorders. So we also just got our first major funding award last year. We got $9 million to conduct a 5-year comparative effectiveness trial internationally, looking at approved therapies for NMOSD versus the off-label therapy. So there's a lot that's happened. It's impossible to share it all at once. Maybe I'll write a book someday, but I don't even know if I answered your question, Parvati, but there's just so much.
You absolutely did. And I was really hoping you actually toot yourself on everything that you did do, because these are big steps. And you did it in your own space. You did it with a lot of elegance and authority, but you also did it very much with grit, that you were just like, I'm not going to fall into the glowy glitz before I achieve something. And with it comes the
Yeah.
recognition, right? And I think that there's just so much to it. Like not everybody can get an FDA that easily. And I'm so glad you also spoke about the big one. That I saw your name and I was like, yes, I'm so glad they got that big award, because it does not come easy. And I love your pearls of wisdom is what I call it, is where you were like, it's step by step. It was over 12 years. It was not overnight. And
Yeah.
a lot of sweat, blood, and tears went into it. And then, you did start off with a team. And so when people look at it now, they're like, oh, they must have gotten a lot of money. You did start with a lot of money.
No, I
And so
started with $50 of my own money.
there you go. So to start where you did and to be where you are, is a testament to not giving up and understanding that I I don't see, even though, the Cubbies is like, see the begin with the end in mind. You were like, I'm just going to go. And I
Yeah.
know I want it to be as big as it can be. And kudos to you for that. So I'm just
Thank
glad you
you.
shared that. But I think Naveda has a question for you too.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Parvati. What needs to change for patients to be seen as equal partners in healthcare and not just recipients of the care?
Yeah, that's a big question. And to be honest with you, I do think the situation is different in every country, but just
Yeah.
generally speaking, um, I can give you a few examples. So the main point is that patients need a seat at the table, especially when it
Mm-hmm.
concerns them, their health, treatment options, etc. So How do you do that? I think, one example is involving patients in clinical trial designs early on, as opposed to involving them much later on. Or, a lot of pharma companies are very good about involving patients or having focus groups to like inform marketing decisions or patient program decisions. So I think just making sure that patients are involved in as many aspects or phases of drug delivery, diagnostics, care, would be the answer. Of course, there's a plethora of ways to do it, but like one thing that always really sticks out to me is like patients need to be involved in clinical trial design.
100% agreed. So, I actually live with osteogenesis imperfecta, so OI, and I have type 3 of that. And the way try and raise awareness is through like social media, doing podcasts like yourself, and also trying to make sure that not like voices are being heard in different criterias, and it is important that farmers are involved in that. But yeah,
Absolutely.
how do you balance working with pharma companies while staying true to patient needs as well as being a patient yourself as well? So, how do you stay true to your own needs sometimes?
Being a leader with lived experience really helps all of that. So I am not easily swayed. Not to say that like pharma companies are coming in and trying to tell me what to do. They're not. So thanks to like pharmacovigilance and boundaries and all the things, they can't tell me how to do things, what to do, what to say. They can support us, which they very graciously do. And then we go off and sensibly, do things with the counsel of the ambassadors that we have, the medical advisory board that we have. We have many strategic advisors. We do polls and surveys and things like that. So I don't think, I've been working with pharma now for since 2018, so however long, the 8 years. And I can't recall a single situation in which I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm compromising, you know, the patient needs. I think at the end of the day, the pharmas are also concerned about the patient needs. Some demonstrate that more than others, but I think at the end of the day, it really is about the patients because like if the drugs are not working for the patients, then their drugs are not going to do well. So everyone wins when the patient wins. That's how I really see it. When I came into this world 12 years ago, I came in as a completely objective lens. I had no experience in rare disease. I had no experience in philanthropy. I had no experience in NPO, none of that. And I looked around and I observed and I was like, in a perfect world, this is the type of solar system that I would make for patients. I would put patients in the middle. They're like the sun or whatever. Yeah, I guess the sun. And then all the planets kind of surrounding it are the various stakeholders that are involved in making sure that the patient is ultimately okay. So that's, of course, the doctors, the researchers, the caregivers, the insurers, the pharma companies, all of the allied health professionals, policymakers, all these things. And in my mind, to this day, in order for this middle circle, the patients to thrive, all of these people have to work with the middle people so that, if I don't know, I have a visual, I can share it with you, but we all have to work together in order to have the best outcomes for the patients. I believed that when I first came into the scene 12 years ago, and I still believe that.
100% agreed. And for that to happen, do you think there needs to be something that needs to change for us patients to be seen as equal partners in healthcare?
So I still think everyone should be their authentic selves, but if I were to advise something based on what I observe, is that I do think that there needs to be a little bit more professionalizing of patient advocacy. A lot of our patient advocacy groups start out as very mom and pop, which is great. I started out as mom and pop or myself, whatever. Um, and that's wonderful. But I think in order for other stakeholders to take you seriously and to hold what you're saying at great weight, you got to show up and show up as the part. So that means being professional, whether it's in your demeanor, whether it's in the way you dress, whether it's how you present your materials, it's how you show up, your digital footprint. And that's something that I learned early on. I was like, if I want to be taken seriously, if I want people to give me money or the foundation money, whether they're donors or, pharma, it's like, I need to show up looking buttoned up. So I do think that if I were to advise, anyone coming into the patient advocacy world, we all need to just button ourselves up a little bit.
I would say appearance is unfortunately the first thing they see. They don't
Sure.
they don't necessarily they're not biased or judgy, but and this is just as a mom who sits in the hospital room a lot, I always am like extra careful to make sure I just don't look like my crazy self by the time
Yeah.
I'm in the evening, but morning
Yeah.
rounds, I'm usually like up and about and ready because
Yeah.
I want them to take me seriously. So something as simple as
Exactly.
that is exactly what you're saying, but in a different scale. And I often think like, there's a reason they ask you to do the 2-minute elevator speech and they tell you to practice it because they want to make sure when you are there, wherever you are, you want to give out your best points. And I completely agree with you. I think to be the most effective version of yourself, you have to take that extra effort. And it doesn't have to be big. Like I can still be in my PJs and still look presentable and with
Yeah.
it in a hospital. Like the doctors are not expecting me to walk out, in a
Yeah.
fashion couture outfit.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I do think like that is such a superpower we do carry that we just present ourselves as our best self.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Seriously. So, yeah, love it. Mhm.
Okay, this might be a bit of an intriguing couple for you, considering we've just spoken about healthcare and equal partners. Was there actually a time where you felt like your own voice wasn't taken seriously in the medical space?
Oh, I've been medically gaslit for sure. Um, you guys asked me earlier if me being a woman or being, brown or South Asian ever came into play in my patient advocacy world. No, but as a patient, yes. In the emergency room, yes. When I've shown up, having a relapse and doctors who were not aware of my condition were brushing it off as me having anxiety because I was young and, a female. Yes, I have definitely experienced medical gaslighting before. And I attribute that to, unfortunately, what is it called? Unconscious bias that humans have, and also a lack of awareness and education about rare diseases. Because the reality is like sometimes it's invisible. If you met me in person, like just to the naked eye, you would never know that I have this crazy lifelong, somewhat devastating diagnosis. And so that's what these nurses or whatever have seen, and they're like, oh, she's fine. She just needs attention or she needs to go home. That has definitely happened.
And have you turned that gaslighting and has that fueled you even more to
Yeah.
do what you're doing in the space because you then can relate to so many more programs and all of the other stuff that you do?
Absolutely. So, one thing that we are extremely passionate about is patient education. And I always say that really knowledge is power in every part of the world, but especially when you're living with a rare disease and you have to advocate for yourself, when you show up, once again, when you show up in a way that people take you seriously because you clearly know what you're talking about, it has a different response. So I have not experienced medical gaslighting since I've been well versed on my condition. I know that it was happening for a variety of reasons, but one of which was because I couldn't articulate myself in the early days what was happening to me, what was going on, what the scientific terms are, which that I now know. So what I try to do with the foundation is provide as much literacy as possible on the diseases, on navigating healthcare so that you can show up as your best self with the knowledge that you need to be taken seriously.
100% agree. Literacy and ultimately knowledge is the most powerful tool that you can have when you have a rare condition. Because we're talking about South Asian women,
Mhm.
has any cultural expectations or culture get in the way with your rare condition?
Ooh, I like this question. Okay, so the first is every time I'm with Bengalis, they're like, okay, so you're cured now? And I'm like, well, no, it doesn't really work like this. Like, I have a chronic disease. They're like, yeah, but you look fine. I was like, okay, but I don't even bother getting into it anymore 12 years later. But they just assume, especially those who don't work in medicine, they just assume that if, you look fine, you are fine, and that this thing just went away. And I was like, yeah, if only. It's not how it works. So that's one thing that used to really get under my skin because meanwhile, like I'm like going through chemotherapy, I'm getting menopause at 26 years old, I'm getting poked and prodded left and right. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So that used to really annoy me. Now I don't care anymore. But another thing is up until I got sick, which was I was 25, everyone was on my case about getting married. It's our culture. That's just supposed to happen. And after I got sick, nobody asks me anymore. Nobody even entertains it. They're like, okay, she's got her own stuff to deal with. She's probably not even thinking about it. But then I get offended because I'm like, what? Because I have a rare disease, I'm not, looking for love or wanting to get married or whatever. Like, you just can't win, I guess. But it's just funny. Some cultural things definitely do pop up.
I think it's also our own culture growing up, right? Because you're like, you see others getting forced, so you don't want to be forced. And then you're like, but you're also not asking me and recognizing that I can be asked. So I can,
Exactly.
not that I relate to marrying or being married. I mean, I have been married for way too long, but it's just very interesting. And
Yeah.
what I don't think it's just Bengalis. I think it's a very South Asian thing because
Oh, for sure.
when my son goes through like chemotherapy and stuff, they immediately think, oh, bald head and like sick and you're gonna be in the hospital. He doesn't get that kind of stuff. And so then they're like, huh, so you're going through treatment, but you don't look like what you're supposed to look.
And
And
they
it's not,
doubt it.
I don't even think it's an unconscious bias. It's just bias. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's just
bias.
judgment and bias and no fault of theirs. They are limited in what they know. And so I feel like, okay, you didn't know until now. And so of course I do my PSA of like some chemos, you don't lose hair, and that's okay. And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean, and it was him that taught me. He was like, I can be playing Xbox and still be in pain. I'm just trying to do that to distract myself because, I found myself falling into that, like, oh, your pain must be better because you're playing. And,
Yeah.
you're never too old to teach someone something. He was only 10 at that time and he looked at me and he was like, Mom, it still hurts. I'm trying to do this to
Yeah.
distract myself. But it all stems from the same thing, right? Like I'm going by what my bias is. Like if you're hurting and you're not playing, then you should feel better. And you're
Yeah.
so right. That's not, you never know what another person's going through till you experience it or speak to them and ask them.
Totally. And also, sorry to the Bengalis watching this, but I'll say it. Bengalis are toxic. I'm just gonna say it. Like, there is so much judgment. I think especially with my parents' generation, I don't see it so much with like millennials and younger, but like the older folks, like they like can't be happy for somebody else's happiness. Or like, I've had people in my own community who have known me since I was 3 years old, even my own family, extended family, think that I was like faking this for attention because it's just not obvious to them. So yeah, I'll just say it. I'm happy to see that younger generations are like totally not behaving like that. We have the ability to be happy for other people, to like root for other people, to not have so much doubt. But like, I see that so much amongst the aunties, it drives me crazy.
It's never too late, aunties. If you're watching, you can still change
Yeah,
after learning. You're never too
yes,
late to learn something
never
new.
know.
So I think you bring up a great point because I think cultural identity and heritage, no matter where you are, if you move, whether an immigrant or even those who still live in those regions, some of these are what threads them together. But
Mhm.
society's changing. And so if the younger folks can change for the better, some change
Yeah,
is good. And these are
yeah,
good changes. Like,
yeah,
let people live, don't judge, are all good changes. Then I think generational trauma for them, because that's how
yeah,
they grew up, is so in every cell of their body that they're not able to break it. And I'm glad that you are a testament to saying the younger generation is changing because it's so needed and it's so necessary for all of us to thrive. Those with rare diseases and any disease to thrive need that community of non-judgmental people that are not just peers, but younger and older, multi-generational support that we need,
Yeah.
right? So, oh my God, so many great
I
points
have
you're
a
bringing up.
crazy story for you,
Yes,
girl.
ma'am. Go for it.
I just remembered
Go
it
ahead.
actually. So I was dating a guy, Indian guy, and we were off to the races, having a great time. He liked me, I liked him, and I was like, wow, I think I found like a really nice guy. And he wanted me to meet his parents naturally. We're like in our late 30s, things move at a different pace when you're a little bit older. So I was very ready to meet them, and I ended up not meeting them because they had two problems with me. The first, without meeting me, the first was that I'm Muslim. So I was like, okay, that's a big problem. Goodbye. And the second was actually the more hurtful one, which was, mind you, these are physicians. They were concerned that I was going to leave their son behind as a widower because of my rare disease.
Oh wow. Yeah. You hit a sort it's a point. It's
Yeah.
reality and it's so hard. You would think they're more accepting because they're physicians and they actually will learn. But as we know,
No.
not all physicians go through rare disease training, if at all. It's a hours class, but also clearly generational change hasn't happened. And wow. Well,
Well,
I'm
I
glad
broke
at
up with
least
him
they
right
were
away.
good. At least you knew there was no like
Yeah.
I'm glad in some way it was honesty was there because at least
Yes.
then you were like, oh, I do not want to sign up for this for
No.
sure.
No,
But
and
yeah,
I
what
didn't.
would happen if they got married and then someone had it, right? Like,
I know I dodged a bullet.
yes, but it's also fascinating that this exists in the same society that we live in. And
Yeah.
that makes me question, like, are we doing enough awareness? Are we doing enough, speaking because when we started our foundation, we only did grassroots. And one of the
Mm.
reasons we did that was we did Diwali toy drives and Ramadan toy drives because we live in a very, almost
This.
everyone lives in a populated Desi community at this point across the world. But
Yeah.
and this was about more than 12 years ago, we did not have other people like us standing up and saying, this is a genetic disorder. Our children are ill. We spend
Yeah.
time in the hospital.
Yeah.
And we learned that this was not something that people even wanted to accept or see through, or, it was like we got the pity and we got the sympathy, but it was like, oh, that doesn't happen to us. And
Yeah,
it was
right.
very interesting because then it made me think, I was like, I'm doing all this education, but are you really going and doing genetic testing after that?
Yeah.
Probably not, but it is what it
It's
is.
like
Like,
one ear in one ear and out the
it
other.
doesn't even go in, Sumaira. That was my thing. It didn't even go in, but they all came up. They showed up. They brought toys and they bought all of these things. And so I was like, my job's done. For what it's worth, you
Yeah.
still heard me. And then the kids got toys. But it was fascinating because these are people who live here, now seeing a different culture. So it's hard. You would think it's easier to embrace, but it may also be hard. It's always a dichotomy life that we live, and you've grown up here. And even knowing from your perspective, the dichotomy still is there,
Yeah.
is both scary, but also there's so much room to improve. Yes. And the way that you tell us living in England, if that's different, or if you face the same things there as well.
100% the same thing.
Which I don't know if it
Um,
speaks about our community as a whole or we as
We've
people
got work
take
to
a,
do.
we do,
so
We've
right?
got
I
work to do.
will. There's a story there. So this was a couple of years ago, a couple of months into the library job that I do, and there was this lady who came up to me and was like, "I need help with printing," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, I can help." And my best friend, she wanted me to show her how to do something, so I called her over so I can show her how to change the settings to do this particular printing. I don't know what happened, but then the lady turned around and said, "You do it, not me." And didn't understand it at first. And she started pointing at my best friend. And I was like, "You do it, not me." And then I was like, "Why?" And she's like, you're ill. She's not ill. And I was like, huh? Are we okay?
Oh my gosh, what a bigot.
Yep. Yeah, she refused me to help her do the printing. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not turning this into an argument. And
What a
I literally just left the
small-minded
scene.
person.
Yes, I
Yeah.
said fascinating, and I'm like, that's a positive word. I can't use that here. That is just awful.
But it's fascinating how dumb people
People
are.
are, right? I like
Yeah.
that. I like the way you said that. I was like, let's make it a positively negative thing to say.
Yikes, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just blows my mind that we work so hard, and then when everyone goes back into the community, that's why we love being in each other's companies in general, because when we go to
Yeah.
the outer world, it's like, wow, they don't even see us as people or people with emotions or people that can be affected by these like blanket statements like, oh, she's gonna leave you a widower. She may not die. She may never die. Like your
By
son
the
may die
way,
before
a
that.
very healthy, able-bodied person may get hit by a car tomorrow and
More heart
die,
attack. Young people are getting more heart attacks. And so, not that I wish that on anyone, but all this to say, it's just hopefully by listening to all of this, they will see our perspective on how it feels to be on the receiving end, because, there's amazing things our community brings us: language, culture, food,
Oh,
uh, so many
fashion.
things, fashion, movies, clearly,
Yep.
Music, all of it. Oh my God, I
all of
die
it.
for classical Indian music.
And
Dancing.
I do love
dancing.
dancing.
Right? And so I hope that we can in the future say things like, oh, we're a very inclusive community and we are a very understanding community and a very respectful community and one that listens and doesn't assume and doesn't just take what they want to take, but actually what they are supposed to. Um,
One thing, since we're in a South Asian audience here, I won this I mean, it's a big deal to me, but I think in the large scheme of the world, it's not really a big deal. But like, I won Miss Bangladesh USA 2015, which was a thank you. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart. And for a couple of reasons. The first was when I won, I was going through aggressive chemotherapy with all of the side effects that you think of with chemo, losing hair and vomiting and all the things. That's what I was going through. And that is when I won, which was interesting because I was at my ugliest. You know what I mean? Like I was not looking beautiful. I was very, very, very ill. And so that was a huge eye-opening moment to me about our culture because I was like, hold on, maybe we're not as superficial as I thought we were. Like the people elect or, voted on somebody who is like really going through it and like not, traditionally beautiful at the moment. But I also really loved it because it was an opportunity and a platform to spread important messaging. And one thing that I've always been extremely passionate about, which you see in the foundation, and I touched upon it earlier, is really education. I'll talk about Bangladesh because it's a country I know better than others, but like my stance and my cause as Miss Bangladesh USA 2015 was I wanted equal, and I still want equal education opportunities for all children in Bangladesh, no matter what their financial status is, whether they're, you know, housed or not housed. I think that if every child were sent to school and educated, the long-term benefits of our people as a whole, the country, the infrastructure, the economy, our tolerance, everything would just be better. And I think probably the same of like India and Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Like we come from very densely populated countries. The folks that we meet here in London or America, we're like the fortunate ones who were able to immigrate and get educated and have the American dream or the UK dream and all the things. But actually, the reality is that many of the people in our home countries are not as lucky, and maybe they don't have access to to education and all the wonderful resources that we all have been privy to. So, um, a long way of saying that I think if there was more educational opportunity for our people, then we will become more tolerant of what is different than me or you.
there you go. This is the best crown I can give you virtually, but that is
Thank you.
amazing and so necessary, not just for here. Like I do think as a global community, we are everywhere. South Asians are everywhere, and I think we all have to uplift each other no matter where we are. I mean, we're not even talking technical like access and Medicaid. We're not talking rare diseases. We're not even talking people with health issues. We're just talking about educate everyone so they can help everyone.
Everyone,
Help each
exactly.
other. Help each other. And so I don't know if you have a better thought, passing thought based on what you said, but yes, if you do have any other pearls of wisdom you want to share, please let us know.
Nothing. I always feel very, very excited to be part of any South Asian programming. I don't get asked to do a lot of things in the South Asian community. I don't know why, but I was very happy to receive this invitation. Any opportunity to speak to my community, on behalf of my community, for my community, it's of great joy, pleasure, and pride for me on every stage that I'm on, no matter where in the world, what language I'm speaking. I always tell people that I am very proud to be Bangladeshi, a child of immigrants. I'm Muslim. I'm proud to be a woman of color with a rare disease doing the work that I'm doing. And if I can do it, then anyone else can do it.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, you stopped.
My
Okay.
last question for you guys, what is your favorite Hindi movie?
Ooh, so many. Too many. That's my problem. I do love Jab We Met a
Yeah,
lot. I also love Love Ajkal. I recently saw it again. I love that. It's kind of a cute movie. Too many. I also watch in many different languages, so Hindi's hard to
Yeah.
just pick one. But yeah, those are two favorites for sure.
What about you, Niveda?
oh God. My favorite one that I kind of just watch and switch off to is Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham.
Of course.
I also recently watched Miss India again. I kind of love that one.
Okay, classic.
Yeah, I really loved it. Hey Nana a couple of months ago, so yeah.
Oh, multilingual. Nice. You watched that too. That's a cool movie. But as you can see, we are all Indian movie lovers, and that
Yes.
is
Yep.
always going to bind us, if not anything else.
Yes.
But
Yep.
Sumaira travels way more than me, Nimeda. So hopefully you will see her on your side of the pond. But
Yeah, I
I can't
love the
wait to
UK.
wave to you in Boston one of these days.
Soon, I hope. I also just want to say I love Hindi movies, but I love South Indian music.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand anything, but I love South Indian music.
The land of Rahman, so you can't go wrong with that.
Oh, truly. Niveda, where are you from?
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
We have a good
Amazing.
representation of everyone here. We just need
Truly,
that next we need the
Bangladesh, Sri
Pakistani
Lanka.
lady, and we're good.
I love it. Diversity. That's the beauty of
Yeah.
the part of the world we come from. There is so much diversity, even in our countries. I mean, India has what, 32 different dialects? That's insane.
Yep, and more
Wow.
to
I
come.
love being brown. That's
Yes,
for sure.
all of us, brown
All of
power.
it.
But thank you so much for joining us, Samira. And we
My
will let you
pleasure.
know as soon as this goes live. But we are so excited to have you as our first guest. It's our pleasure to have you as the Bangladeshi queen here. So thank you for being here and for all the amazing work that you do. We truly, truly appreciate all of the work that you are doing and being such a strong voice of authenticity and truth, because I think that is something that is difficult to do and to do consistently. And so thank you for being yourself and
Oh,
for joining us.
thank you. I hope to see you both at some point soon. And if I can help you in any way, you never hesitate to reach out to me.
Yeah. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to South Asian Women in Rare. It means so much to us to be able to share these conversations and stories with you. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to follow, share, and stay connected to future stories and conversations. Until next time.